Scooby-Doo, bee-bop-a-doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, bee-bop-a-doo. On this episode of the History of the Course podcast with Curtis and Josh, we take a look at the band known as Comeback Kid. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. Make sure to check us out on TikTok and give us a follow at Is Survived by Productions. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta, army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Chorus podcast, where each and every episode we take a look at the history of a band from the core genre. I'm Curtis, and with me, as always, this guy over here. I think I'm pointing the right. Am I pointing the right way?
It's me, Coffee McGee.
This guy over here, Coffee McGee. My co-host Josh, and today we're going to be talking about. Well, actually, we're going to be continuing our Canadian invasion.
The Canadian invasion.
By looking at the band known as Comeback Kid. But before we get to that, we had a brand new episode of the History of the Chorus After Hours podcast come out this past week.
After hours.
Beautiful, yes. We've also been out of commission. I've been sick, so we haven't really gotten anything out there. But like I said, this past week, we got a new After Hours episode all about the band Oh Sleeper. And so I'm curious, because I know Josh has listened to it, so I'm curious to hear his thoughts on this week's episode.
On that episode about Oh Sleepy?
About Oh Sleepy.
Yeah, I only had like a couple things I was gonna say. I'm still not backing down on this impending doom thing.
I was waiting for that one.
Because all the reasons that you feel like it doesn't fit are just preconceived notions that have
we're talking about the genre, right?
Not about their genre type, but about
what are you saying?
That they can't have that message with those vocals.
Well, okay. I was about to say, I don't care that they have the message.
I know you don't care, but you don't think it fits.
but that's what I was telling you the other day. It's like, because we were talking about it off the podcast, just kind of having a discussion. It's like, what I grew up on, it doesn't feel right to me. In my heart, it doesn't feel right. It just feels, I don't know, it just feels contradicting, and immediately I always think of you singing their lyrics. What is it?
No,
dead, listen. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what? So, yeah. Anyway, continue. I just want a clarification on what you were getting at, though.
Yeah, no, I think it works for them. I don't know that it would necessarily work for everybody,
that's
and
their
I honestly
gimmick.
can't think of anybody that's as heavy as them that is also a Christian band.
Right.
So, just want to throw that out there. The other thing I was going to say, really more of just like a story. You guys have talked a few times about the Vanguard and how they're very against stage diving. And
well, apparently that's some new development, because when he ended up going to the Norma Jean show,
the Almighty Norma Jean?
Yeah. The Almighty Norma Jean.
I'm familiar with them.
He said that they didn't have any signs up, but it was pretty crazy between their band and Emery and Oh Sleeper, and so he said he went to a show. I don't remember what show it was, but he went back probably about a month later, and he said they had signs up everywhere that says no stage diving. But he swears that they didn't have that at the Norma Jean show. So it's our kind of our inside joke that that's where it probably started.
Well, I'm here to tell you that it goes back much further.
Okay, maybe he just missed the sign then.
Well, I don't know about the sign. I can't speak to when the sign showed up on the scene. So back before it was the Vanguard, it was called the Marquis. And
oh, really? Okay,
yes,
I didn't know that.
Pretty much set up exactly the same.
Forgot.
They didn't really change anything in there.
Yeah, they just changed the name.
Yes, well, and it was, I think, change of ownership. I'm not 100% because I don't know who owns Vanguard, but so it closes down. It's bought by somebody else. Start hearing that it's going to be still a venue.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to call it Vanguard. Everybody starts getting hype on it, but then we start hearing from people we know, like concert promoters and stuff locally, that they're not going to put on any heavy shows there because of how bad things used to get at the Marquis.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them because, dude, I was at shows. I was at shows at the Pink Eye where like carfuls of guys would like roll up on the side of the road, and there were just these massive fights that would break out, or inside the venue, and I like some really violent stuff. And so I don't blame them for not wanting to do that, but it made it kind of hard because there for a while, we'd be downtown a lot, and you walk by and they would have flyers up, and they have they used to anyway, they had a casing kind of on the side of the entrance that had different shows that were coming up, just kind of a calendar. Mm-hmm. And it was always pretty sparse. And so it just kind of seemed like they were missing out, on financial opportunities, at least.
Right. Okay.
So they finally decide, I realize this story has gone on way too long already. They finally decide that they break down and do it for whatever reason. I don't know who got to them, but they finally decide we're going to start doing heavy shows again. And the first show that we're going to do is going to be Emmure headlining.
Well, you can just stop right there.
Advocate opened. I want to say Born of Osiris played that night.
Oh, good Lord.
And
that's some heavy stuff.
Because I saw them at the Vanguard with Emmure, but I've seen Emmure so many fucking times at this point.
Right. Yeah.
But I think I can't remember who the other band was. It honestly doesn't matter. But this was the first show that they decided to start. Like, this is what you're going to start with.
Yeah.
And I remember they tried to, in the beginning, keep it pretty tame.
Yeah. Like security.
Yeah. There was one or two security guards, but the thing that everybody failed to account for, was like that security had never
experienced that.
Yeah, or security had never stopped anything at any of the shows I had ever been to. If anything, it was a liability for them to get involved because they were just going to get the shit kicked out of them.
Right. They're going to be part of the fight.
Yeah. So, okay. So you can go ahead and open that message that I sent you.
Okay.
Yes.
Just look at the picture.
You've probably seen this picture before, but this is the night that this picture was taken
at the Emmure show, the first heavy. Okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I've seen this photo before. That's hilarious. Babyface Josh.
Yeah.
And
as I'm holding Sam Morgan back from killing this kid just off camera.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, shortly after that, because things had escalated pretty far at that point, security tried to get involved in one of the little skirmishes, and then everybody just turned their attention on that security guard
Oh,
and
yeah.
like
You became
beat
enemy
the
number one.
piss out of this guy. Like
Are
they
you
had to like
serious?
take him out of there. And people were
Wow.
like, there's like that tiny little balcony section.
Mhm.
People were jumping out of the balcony like into the crowd. Like it
Dang.
was fucking crazy. But yeah, I just had to mention that because all the all the talk of the Vanguard not wanting the shows to get out of hand, and it's like that was the first show that they let us start doing heavy stuff there again, and it went horribly, horribly wrong for them.
I'll say, and that's just one story. He's got a ton more. I know he does.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was just one night of many.
Right.
The last amendment that I
Oh boy, here we
had
go.
to the podcast is just kind of a funny anecdote. You guys mentioned several times that O Sleeper or an album by O Sleeper fills a hole for you.
Fills a hole.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You tell me.
I don't
You're
remember
the one who
saying
said
that.
it like several times. You said it fills that hole, Like
don't
you,
remember saying
you,
that.
you said that several times on the
It
show.
fills that hole. I need holes filling.
And it made me think of some quotes from It's Always Sunny.
I was
between
just about to
Dennis and
say it's
Frank.
always sunny in
Yeah.
Philadelphia. Yeah.
It's important to me, Frank, and I know that it's important. I know that money and power is important to you, but I don't want power because the real power comes with real responsibility. I don't want any of that shit. I just want money and the illusion of power
And the illusion of
And-
power. Yep.
and puss.
Yep. What
And
episode
so-
was that?
I don't know. I can't remember which one it
doesn't
is.
matter.
But the part that made me think of it is when Dennis says, I need something. I mean, I got this giant gaping
Giant
hole
gaping
inside
hole.
of me. And I'm always trying to fill it with something. I like to call it my God hole. And I think a lot of people
Oh.
in this world, they fill it with religion. I don't believe in God.
Isn't
And
that the
was
one where he kind of has like a trip though, and he's like cutting his own hair or something like that?
Is it that one?
I'm wondering if it is that one.
I don't know.
could be
This is
wrong.
when he's like putting Dennis as like president of operations or something for Wolf Cola.
Yes. Yeah. Wolf Cola. The official
But-
sponsor of Boko Haram.
Boko Haram.
Uh,
That's it from me. Do you have a
Okay.
quote this week?
A quote?
Mhm.
What do you mean?
A quote from Comeback Kid.
Let's wake the dead. How about that?
Oh, if you don't have one, I'll give you one.
Go for it. I would love to hear that.
A common threat sits in our house, but I feel so far removed.
Yes. Yes. It's a good one. That is a good one. I think most
That is a
people would
good
probably I think most people probably just go for like Wake the Dead.
Yeah.
But,
Broadcasting is a banger though. Like,
that's a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
an album or
as an
a
album,
song?
it's good. But
As
the
an
song is
album,
also
it's so
really good too.
Yeah. The answer to that is yes. Alrighty. That is Josh's thoughts presented by Wolf Cola.
Corrections
Uh,
Corner, presented by Wolf Brand Cola.
Did you call it Corrections Corner?
Yeah.
Nice. I like what you said, amending. Like you're trying to fix something. It's my opinion. You can't fix my opinion. I have
They're my
needs.
opinions on your opinions.
I don't know. I think I can't remember it now, but I think it's just kind of like the fact that it's like that band just means like that much to both of us, And we talked about, we said it so many times of like how underrated. What do you feel that way too? It's like, it just doesn't feel like they don't have as much respect.
For sure. I think
It's just
I've told
weird.
you that a million
but I
times
told-
because
Yeah. What I told him too, I
they're-
said, well, maybe back in the day when they first came around and they were putting out albums like every other year, maybe they were a bigger deal, but I wasn't as into them then. So I guess I'm thinking of it more as now where it's like they went on a big hiatus and They don't do a whole lot now, but I don't know.
I only knew like one person who listened to them. Like
Okay.
whenever I first got into them, which
Yeah.
was When I Am God. Um yeah, I only knew like one person who knew them. I think a lot of people saw them as kind of like I almost don't even want to say it because same like I like this band so much, but I think a lot of people, especially back then, saw them as kind of an Under Oath ripoff.
Ooh.
Especially when
Ah,
you looked at them too, like
they kind of
especially
look
then,
like
you
them.
know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And as you guys were saying, like how underrated they were, like obviously, yeah, that's the same thought that I've had a lot, but I saw them at Brutalocalypse, which
Hmm.
is a big like 2-day fest that they used to do in town every year. And I saw them, they were the last band to play on the first night. And it just seemed like people weren't that like into it. You know? I don't know, it's kind of
Yeah.
weird. Like I was out there dancing and there were some other people out there, but it just seemed like nobody knew who they were and nobody was like too impressed. I don't know, like they were killing it. They were killing it. And
Yeah.
my favorite album is When I Am God. So like that's what they were playing. They were playing mostly songs from it was pretty much almost that entire album.
Yeah. I mean, it's just weird too because like for us, like we're in their radar of like, because I mean they're from Fort Worth, so it's like we should be in their radar, like vicinity,
Yeah.
to know them. I mean, they were on a major label back in the. I mean, Solid State used to be a big label. I don't know,
Mhm.
how much credit they have now, but I mean, they used to be a big thing back then because that's. I mean, at that time, Under Oath was on there, Norma Jean was on there. I think even the Cherry was still on there at that time. So it's kind of like you would think that they would have, some, oomph and some backing to them. I don't know. We went around on it for a little bit there. Just trying to figure out like why. I don't know. I just don't know, man. Did you ever get around to listening to their newest album?
No. I'm
Shame on you,
afraid
man.
to, dude. I'm too afraid with some of these like
I really like it.
most recent albums from bands that I love
Yeah, I
because
mean,
I don't know.
I'll be straight with you. It's no for you. It's no When I Am God. I mean, just straight up, it's not that. It's not going to be your favorite album. I don't think because again, it's not When I Am God. But to me, it's still really really heavy. I felt like he took his unclean vocals to a new level. Um,
I
I
also
just
heard you
like I
say
said,
they're
I
just
just
a
like it.
three-piece now, and
Yeah. Well,
I can always hear that. Like I can always hear
yeah,
that in the music.
when they recorded it, they were a three-piece. They got four guys now. But yeah, when they recorded it, it was just a three-piece band.
I'm going to
But
stand
he
by that
said
most music of this caliber requires at least 5 members. Like
yeah,
otherwise there's like parts that always sound like kind of hollow and
hollow. Yeah.
empty.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But you need to sit down and just
I
listen to
will.
it.
I'll listen to it. I'll
Um
give it a shot. I'll give it the
the
old
other
college try.
Give it the old college try. The other interesting thing that we talked about was the fact that I think he said they only played like 6 or 7 songs. I mean, it was a really short set list.
I could beat that. I saw the Faceless one time when they played
Mhm.
4 songs.
That's so weird. I mean, but they were they kind of like in their prime, or was
Would have
that
been
like early? I mean,
Planetary Duality. So that's their second full length.
okay, that's weird. Wonder what's up with that.
I don't know. That was a weird show.
Okay, we have spent plenty of time on a band that we're not even really supposed to be talking about in this episode. So let's go ahead and move on. But if you want to check out that episode,
Let's get into
it's
this
the
episode about the Faceless.
it's the History of the Course After Hours episode about O Sleeper. So go check that out, and then go check out the original too, History of the Course podcast episode about O Sleeper. But today we are up in Canada. We're nowhere near O Sleeper in Fort Worth, Texas. We're all the way up in Canada, Winnipeg, Manitoba to be exact, where we're talking about the band known as Comeback Kid. Speaking of underrated, I'm not saying that they are, but would you say that Comeback Kid is underrated?
most people that I knew that weren't just trying to be,
Cool. Or whatever, fit in, or
yeah, because there's those people, in hardcore that are like they only listen to like those deep track bands, the
yeah,
ones that like nobody knows about,
right.
and they put out like one demo or something. Yeah. But most people that I knew that liked just kind of broad spectrum hardcore, they liked Comeback Kid.
Okay.
And I think those two albums though, or those three albums, um,
What that we're going to talk about?
yeah,
Okay.
are like that's the block that people like.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I think it kind of starts to it
Kind of
moves in a
drop.
different direction a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Okay. Cool, man. Yeah, I was kind of wondering that going into this episode, because again, coming off of recording the O Sleeper deal and talking about that, I was kind of thinking, well, I don't remember a lot of people in my circle growing up that listened to Comeback Kid. So I didn't know what your experience was with that.
yeah, I mean, I knew several people who did. So
Okay. Cool. Well, Comeback Kid is under the genre of hardcore punk and melodic hardcore. Would you agree with those two?
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have any others to possibly label them as?
They need to put Two Step Kings in the
Two Step Kings. Let me put that
yeah.
in my notes here real quick.
They have
Two Step
so
Kings.
they have so much great so
Two
many
Step
great
beats.
two step, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um so many, like a stupid amount, and they're all really good.
Cool, man. Alrighty, here we go. Formed in 2001 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, initially as a side project by Andrew Neufeld and Jeremy Hebert of the band Figure Four, which didn't know if you knew about the band Figure Four at all, Josh, but they actually had a few Cancer Bats members as well.
I
So
feel like I've
see,
heard of
everything's
them, but
connected. Yeah, I've heard of them before too. I don't know if I've ever
all these
actually
guys
ever
are
like listened.
besties. They all love each
Right.
other. I
It's
get the
just like the
picture.
big we got the board here of all the bands we've talked about and the yarns going all over the place.
Yeah.
That's what's going on right now. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. So you got Andrew Neufeld and his friend Jeremy Hebert from the band Figure Four starting Comeback Kid as a side project. Soon they would be joined by their friends Scott Wade and Kyle Profeta. And then Cliff Hyde would join on bass soon after. So here is your first official lineup. You got Scott Wade on vocals, Andrew Neufeld on guitar, Jeremy Hebert on guitar, Cliff Hyde on bass, and Kyle Profeta on drums. Now, originally, the band was named The Comeback Kid, but they would end up dropping the first word, the, and just leaving it as Comeback Kid. Now, we're both sports fans. We're both hockey fans. Are you familiar with the name Mario Lemieux? Oh, can't hear you. You're on mute.
That doesn't sound super familiar to me.
What? And you call yourself a sports fan?
Who did he play
Now,
for?
Penguins, Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, he's not, I would say he's up there in the names of like Gretzky, Gordie Howe, and such like that. Super Mario, it was his nickname.
Okay.
He or the name The Comeback Kid was taken from a newspaper headline about the hockey legend Mario Lemieux's return after 44 months of being retired. So what happened was in I think it was the mid 90s, he ended up getting cancer, and I think he was away from hockey for a while to deal with that. Then he came back, he beat it, came back, played for a couple of years, and then he retired. And then he ended up deciding to come out of retirement and playing a few more years of hockey. He is actually the only player in NHL history to own an NHL team, which was the Pittsburgh Penguins at that time, and play for that team. So he owned the Pittsburgh Penguins and he also played for him, the only player in the history of the league to do that. And for a guy who was 35 years old, which is on the backside of your career, and coming out of retirement, 44 months worth, which is that's almost 4 years worth of being retired. It's a little unheard of for a guy to come in after being retired that long and at that age of 35 and score 35 goals, 41 assists in only 43 games. That's just insane, dude. I mean, but that just shows how good of a hockey player he was. So yeah, that's for anybody who doesn't know that name or any stats like that. So the name is going to come from, like I said, a newspaper article talking about Mario Lemieux being the comeback kid.
When was that though? Like when did he do that?
That season? It was in the early 2000s. Let's see here. I can look it up real quick here.
Okay.
Why is that? You thinking it was like in the offensive age? I mean, if you go back to the 90s and like 80s.
They say that like Gretzky and stuff, like nobody can like put those kind of numbers up anymore because of all the changes, like how the goalies like pads have gotten significantly bigger like since then. Like there's just like so many things that it's like, it's not the same game anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so that was 2000, the 2000 season, 2001 season. 43 games, 35 goals, 41 points, 76 assists, 35 goals, 41 assists, 76 points. He would play, he ended up playing 5 more seasons after that. The next season, he only played 24 games, still had 31 points. But the season after that, 02-03, so he'd be 37 years old in that season. He played in 67 games, had 28 goals, 63 assists, and 91 points. I mean, for a guy that old, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, he was labeled as the comeback kid. And as the band being from Winnipeg, Manitoba, being a big hockey town there, they decided to pull the name from the article and use it as their own. Much like the band that me and Josh both like from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, speaking of which, the band Wants Nothing, self-described blue collar metal. Comeback Kid has described themselves as blue collar hardcore punk band. Blue collar.
Okay.
I like
interesting.
That. I like that. Would you agree? Thoughts? Is there only one blue collar band?
I don't know. I'll tell you, a lot of what made Wants Nothing sound blue collar was their music, and then also like when you saw them live, they were always wearing like muddy jeans and like cut off,
like they just got off of
like
work.
The sleeves cut off their t-shirts and stuff, you know.
Okay.
I don't know if I really get those vibes from Comeback Kid. I mean, it feels like straight hardcore, you know?
No, I hear you, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, well, let's get on into our first little album here. It's 2002's Demo 02, which was self-released by the band and also produced by the band. This album was written and recorded while Andrew Neufeld and Jeremy Hebert were still in the band Figure 4. Again, starting Comeback Kid was just more of a side project for these guys, so that really didn't take precedence in their lives like their other band Figure 4. Songs on this demo include Without a Word, All in a Year, The Operative Word, Step Ahead, Playing the Part, and Give and Take. Now, out of the 6 songs here, 5 of these are going to be re-recorded for the next album. The only one that isn't re-recorded is the 3rd song, The Operative Word. Josh, what do you think for 2002's Demo 02? Not too bad for a demo, eh? Sound quality-wise, at least, I should say.
I
That's always the first thing I think of when I see, okay, I'm going to be listening to it and it's a demo tape. That's the first thing I always think of is, okay, what's the sound quality like? Is this in a basement on one microphone and everybody's just gathered around?
right. Yeah, I don't know. Quality's pretty good. Um, Probably I got to imagine this was probably recorded somewhere else. Like it doesn't sound like it's recorded in somebody's bedroom.
Right. You think
Like
an actual
this,
studio, maybe?
yeah, this sounds like definitely sounds like it's been recorded in somebody's studio.
Yeah. Well, and maybe a deal of,
At least parts of it.
right.
At least those
Probably,
guitars.
yeah, probably being, already in a band that was, well to do, being figure four, they probably had some pull to be able to get, at least a decent studio to
Mm,
record in or something, rather than, um, rather than, um, yeah, just a bedroom or, a basement or whatever, like some startups usually do when you don't have any, foundation. Whereas these guys, they had a foundation to work from and be able to catapult from. One thing I'm going to say about Comeback Kid, in my opinion, in my listening um, to the albums that are in this episode, I don't really have, like any like favorite songs. I mean, there's a few, obviously, like Wake the Dead and Broadcasting are really good, but this to me, it's like Comeback Kid, especially these first three full lengths, are it is a band where I can just turn it on and just play it from A to Z and not even skip a beat. It's very easy to do. And I think one of the things too that it makes it that way is the time length. I think all three of these albums, not including the demo here, but the three full lengths are all around 30 to 32 minutes. So I mean that's an easy, just put it on your and it's over before you even know it. But just the way that, I mean, they're just able to go from the very first song to the very end and not just like have any. I mean, it's just like a straight shot. There's no
mhm.
like, oh, it's just
Every
from here to
album,
there.
every album, I pretty much like at the end of it, I'm always like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Like because yeah, it just like
It
you
just
blow
ends
through
before
it.
you know it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I wasn't, I mean, the sound quality on this was, pretty good. I mean, it's obviously a demo. You can tell it's a demo without really reading the title, but yeah, it's like you said, it's definitely not in somebody's bedroom or basement. So,
Yeah.
anything else on the old demo track here?
No, I mean it's
It's a
solid.
demo
Yeah, it's a demo, but it sounds like the quality is just so much better
than what you would think of the demo.
than
I
what
think,
most of the bands that we cover their first albums sound like.
yeah, I think the two that I usually kind of use as my foundation to compare with every other demo out there is um I think the very first Chariot demo, I mean, they said it was recorded in a basement with one microphone and you could barely hear some of the instruments. And then the other one I think of is Fall of Troy's first demo when they were the 30 Years War. And just, I mean, that was in the basement, one
Yeah.
microphone, and you could barely hear his voice singing sometimes. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing that I always kind of go, okay, here's my my foundation here. Now what's this compared to those, or whatever. So
Yeah.
okay, that's the demo from 2002. The demo garnered the attention of a record company, Face Down Records. Are you a fan of Face Down Records, Josh?
Yeah, I like Face Down.
Pretty good.
Wasn't
Was Stick to Your Guns ever on Face Down?
ugh, I don't know.
We're gonna look it up here. We're gonna find out. Let's see. Well, let's see. Their current. Uh, current. I don't really recognize any of these names. Nothing Left. War of Ages.
Yeah,
Some of
I know
their
War of Ages. War of Ages has been around a
yeah.
long time.
Some of their past ones are Plea for Purging,
Oh, baby.
Altars. Let's see. The Burial. Comeback Kid, obviously. Demise of Eros. Didn't you talk about them before? I felt like you did, maybe.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, Figure 4. For Today, Gideon, Hands,
Oh, Impending Doom.
Impending Doom. Let's see who else we got here. Messengers, Nothing Till Blood, Rival Choir,
Mouth of the
Cyanide
South.
Beach, Mouth of the South.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I didn't see that. Are you on their website?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just on Wikipedia.
Oh,
here.
Take It Back. Take It Back was on theirs for a while.
They okay? Okay. Oh
So
yeah, I see
it
that
looks
now.
like they've had at least a few
Same.
hardcore bands here.
Symphony in Peril. That's that one band that I was telling you about not so long ago. Remember that they had the music on that hardcore drive-by video that we used to watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's Face Down Records. They would only release one album on Face Down, and that's going to be this very first one, their full-length debut, 2003's Turn It Around from Face Down Records. This album is produced by John Paul Peters, who did The Spark That Moves from Cancer Bats. He's also done work with the bands, with some of the members of their band Figure 4. And the album was also produced by members of Comeback Kid. This album is going to be the last one for Cliff Hyde on bass. There's going to be a lot of
Fuck you, Cliff.
changes.
Get out of here. No, there's actually a lot of sick bass lines on this album. So,
now a writer for punknews.org had this to say in reviewing the album, quote, "It avoids all the pitfalls of hardcore, no predictable breakdowns or song structures. No two songs sound identical, and yet the album flows very well. The lead guitar manages to be catchy and rough at the same time. The rhythm is respectable. The bass lines are great." There you go.
Yes, they are.
And the drums keep time. That's kind of a weird comment. The drums keep time. Almost makes it sound like you just did the bare minimum. That's what it almost sounds like to me. The vocals are intense, pointed yells, not contrived screams, from the almost sing-along quality in Die Tonight, which is, in my opinion, kind of a highlight track.
Which one?
To Die Tonight.
Okay.
It's a good one. To the gang vocals and occasional guest vocals. There really isn't a weak point. There is no hidden acoustic track. I like that version there.
Before we go any further, you want to share the text that you sent me referring to this band?
Yes. Let me do that. Yeah. So I actually had this thought. That thought that I texted you actually came while listening to this album. Because there's so many, it seems like there's so many gang vocals on this album from the beginning to end, that I had a thought, and I ran it by you. I was wondering, what if a band, what if their gimmick was all they did was just gang vocals? There was no lead vocalist. It was just everybody did vocals, and it was all just gang vocals the whole time. Oh, can't hear you.
And my rebuttal to you, Curtis, is
what was it?
Have you ever heard of hardcore? Have you heard of the genre hardcore? Because that's most of what's going on.
I know, I get that. I'm just saying, like no lead vocalist.
I know. You're saying
take
to the
Comeback Kid. I know what you're saying
extent.
too, man.
Yeah.
Where it's just like we do nothing but gang vocals.
Yeah,
that's it. So I just thought I get what you're saying too, because don't get me wrong, that came in my mind too. It's like, well, isn't that just basically what hardcore is? It's basically just instruments and gang vocals. Because
Do you
even if it's
know?
just a lead vocalist doing it, the crowd, I mean, at a live show, the crowd's singing everything that he's saying. So
Right. Um, so we're about to talk about Turn It Around, and I'm gonna give you a little hardcore album hack here. If
okay.
you're ever listening to a hardcore band
Mhm.
and there is a song title with a woman's name, you know it is going to slap. There are almost
That's a good thing,
never,
right?
they lyrically they almost never talk about like some girl they're in love with,
Right.
in hardcore.
How do you say this one? Is it Lorelei?
It's Lorelei, yeah,
Okay.
or Laura Lee.
You know what when I first read it, you know what I was thinking?
What,
L'Oreal.
of Styx? Oh, okay. Because that's
Well,
what I
there's
was
that too.
thinking of.
Lady
Well, I was thinking the song Lorelei.
from Styx. I don't remember that
Yes.
one. How'd that one go?
Lorelei, let's live together.
Well, I don't remember that one.
You don't
Anyway.
know that song? Oh man,
I don't
All
remember
right.
that one.
Well,
Yeah.
but yeah, if there's, I'll refer you to Stick to Your
I got
Guns.
flashes. I've got flashes of Eric Foreman in my mind now.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to the
To
Grand Illusion.
Illusion.
I like it
Come
when
on
he
in.
I like it when he wakes up the next morning. Oh, God. Am I too late? Is Styx sold out? Yeah. Anyway,
Didn't she
go ahead.
like Black Sabbath sold out
Like,
2 weeks ago or something like
something
that?
like that? Yeah. Go ahead. Stick to your guns.
What Stick to Your Guns song am I talking about?
That's
What am I gonna?
is it how you say it? Is it Danielle or
No,
what is it? No, not that one.
no.
Which one?
I'm thinking of
what album?
Amber.
Oh, yeah. It
Yeah.
was which one is that off of? I forget.
Amber is on
Is that Hope
For
Division?
Those Who Have Heart. No,
No, Hope
that's
Division.
A Day to Remember. Hope Division. I was thinking of the cover. Yeah.
Wrong band.
There is a heart on the cover, isn't there? Of
What?
Hope Division.
No, well, yeah, I think it is, but it's the heart, but it's in the shape of like the arrows, like they did on
Yeah.
Diamond.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's a heart. For those who have hope.
Diamond.
Yeah. What? Okay, so that's the song you're.
Oh, that's
Is that your
just like
point?
the
Was that the
reference
end?
that I'm making. Yeah, like a
Okay.
song that has a girl's name, hardcore band, always slaps.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
So what if their gimmick was all of their song titles, they were a hardcore band, all their song titles were just women's names.
Well, then they would all slap.
Smack, 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 smack. Oh boy. Okay. So let's talk about the songs on this album, 2003's Turn It Around. You got All in a Year, Give and Take, Die Tonight, Changing Face, Playing the Part, Always, featuring John Bain of the band One of These Days. One of These Days. You also have Step Ahead, Operative Word, Biting Tongue, Something Less, Never Fade, Without a Word, and how do you say it again? Lorelei?
Yeah, Lorelei or Laura Lee. I don't know.
Okay.
It's their
So,
interpretation.
Okay. I guess I messed up here. I guess all 6 songs from their demo. Without a Word, All in the Year. Hold on. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm going to figure this out. Step ahead, play in the part, and give and take. Okay, I guess that's weird. I don't know why I missed that one. Okay, all 6 of their songs from their demo were re-recorded. Operative Word is on here. That's weird. I don't know how I messed that up, but I did. And I know we're all used to me messing up on this show. So, yeah. Anyway, what did you think of their debut album from Facedown Records, Josh?
It's definitely a hard tie between Give and Take and Wake the Dead for me. But like they're just both really great albums.
Oh, you mean Turn It Around? Turn It Around is the name of the album.
Yeah. Sorry.
I like that album, Changing Face. Or was it biting tongue?
Given
Maybe it was
chase.
step ahead.
Given face.
Given face.
Given the dead. Is it Die Tonight or Changing Face that I think it has some guest vocals on there?
There's one of them that, well, what are we classifying as guest vocals? Because in a way,
Somebody
you could
who's not a
say-
member of Comeback Kid?
Right, but then that's what I was about to say. But you could say that the gang vocals, because it's not always just the members of the band that are doing the gang vocals.
Right. No,
Could
I
be guest
mean like
vocals.
the extra
Because I'm not gonna
screams.
lie, I don't know if it was on this one or it may be the next album that I was looking up some like production notes or whatever, and like the list of like gang vocal people was ridiculous. It's just insane.
Who just invites your
Um,
friends in to do that? Like
yeah, I
I've
mean, that's
definitely
all you
gone
do.
in to like record gang vocals and it's just like a
Right.
bunch of like you just invite a bunch of your
Hey,
friends.
what's up?
Yeah.
The only one that I had that had an actual guest vocalist that they named at least was the song Always.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's maybe the one you're talking about or not, but
I feel like I can hear Candace Kuskulian. I can never say her last name. Candace Kuskulian on there. She's
who's
the
that?
vocalist for Walls of Jericho.
Really? Really now. Well,
That's who it
let's see.
sounded
How do you
like to me.
what's her name? What's her name?
Candace
Candace. Oops. Candace. What is it?
Kuskulian.
How do you spell that?
Kuskulian. Kusulian.
Got it. Whoa. She a power lifter? What the hell?
Also, I guess I forgot one beef that I had with you guys.
Oh, here we go.
I'm hearing a lot of Spirit Box talk, and I'm not hearing a lot of I wrestled a bear once talk, and that is deeply upsetting to me.
We're getting there.
Because I wrestled a bear once is the clearly superior band to Spirit Box.
Oh, let's see. Walls of Jericho, Walls of Jericho, Walls of Jericho, Walls of Jericho.
They're both
Walls of
Courtney.
Jericho, Walls of Jericho. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Do
Mm,
you?
I don't see her name
Do
on.
you? I'm hearing a lot of
see
Spirit
her.
Box talk.
Let's move on.
Do you?
You had your chance.
Do you though?
I didn't see she didn't. Well, I mean, she wasn't given credit on anything for Comeback Kid, so
I'll get back to you with which song that was.
yeah.
We'll
I will
suss this
say,
out.
I think, even like in the early days, like the first two albums when Scott's the vocalist, I think Andrew's doing a bunch of like, backing screams
Okay.
before he ends up taking over. So it wouldn't surprise me if that may be him at times you're hearing, or maybe even Jeremy may be doing some too. I don't know, but yeah. This episode is brought to you by Spirit Box.
No.
So I take it you're not a Spirit Box fan. Or maybe your silence is saying yes. I will take your
They're-
silence as a yes. You are
God damn
you
it.
are a fan.
They're good. I just would rather
If you had your pick between the two, it's I wrestled a bear once. That's what you're trying to
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to clear up the air there. Any
And it's not all
favorite,
Courtney. I mean, she only did like the last like couple albums for them
she
or
was-
whatever.
she was-
But
yeah. Do you have a favorite on this album? Or is it again just one that just like just go from beginning to end, man?
I mean, I like it beginning to end, but Lorelai is crazy good. I want to pick like a run of songs here, but it's one of those where I'm like, oh yeah, Give and Take, Die Tonight, Changing Face, Playing the Part, Always, Step Ahead, Operative Word, and then you just end up at the
I
end
was
of the
gonna say,
fucking album.
Yeah,
So-
here's your run of songs. All in a Year, Give and Take, Die Tonight, Changing Face, Playing Part, Always, Step Ahead, Operative Word, Biting Tongue, Something Less, Never Fade, Without a Word, Lorelai. Oh wait, that was the entire album. Yeah, I mean
Got Changing Face going.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, do you think it's that one?
Changing face.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean for
that.
the the
Oh,
the with the part you're looking for.
I don't know. I
Mm,
don't know.
I don't
I
know.
was
You're gonna
really
have to
just
get
talking about like the breakdown, and that one
no,
is
no,
just
you're
like
good.
so
Yeah.
sick.
You're gonna have to get back to us on that one.
Yeah, I'll
All
get back to
right.
you.
Debut album, Josh. Hmm? Hmm? Does it do it
Hmm.
for you?
Oh, it does it for me. I told
Oh,
you, turn it
it
around,
does.
turn it around, and Wake the Dead are my favorite albums. Now, why are you trying to tell me that that album is not called Wake the Dead? It is called Wake the Dead.
What are you talking about? No,
Earlier,
I said you were saying this album was called Give and Take. I said no, this one's called Turn It Around. You said I like Give
oh,
and
did I
Take and
say?
Wake the Dead, and I thought you were talking about the songs at first, and then you said they're my two favorite albums, and I was
Who the
like no
hell
no no no,
knows?
it's Turn Around and Wake the Dead.
Who knows? Who knows what I was
Oh
thinking?
no, I don't know. Nobody ever knows, Josh. Nobody ever knows. All right, that is the debut album from Comeback Kid 2003's Turn It Around. Now, following the success of their debut album, the band would find themselves extensively touring across North America as well as Europe. The band would also seize the opportunity to play such festivals as Hellfest and Posse Numbers Festival. Never heard of it, but okay.
Me neither.
Uh, I've heard of Hellfest, but not this
Yeah,
Posse Numbers. It makes me wonder if it was a European fest.
maybe.
Posse Numbers. Posse Numbers. Okay, so bassist Cliff Hyde, like we talked about just a little bit ago, would be leaving the band. He would be replaced by Kevin Call. Now, only signed to Facedown Records for a short stint, the band would garner the attention of one, and this record label is very close to our hearts, Victory Records.
Victory.
Victory. I was
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
there you go, man. Yeah, I think I told you this the other day actually. I went back and watched one of those Victory TV episodes, man, and it brought back so many memories. So many good bands that we found. I mean, that
So
was
good.
like our big start was
Hmm.
that record label and getting that DVD from the Hawthorne Heights album.
Hmm.
Um yeah. So Victory Records, man, they're on there. They're in the big time. And I think back in, I mean, this
They're a
next
label.
album,
That's
they're a
my
label.
that's my favorite thing to say about stuff whenever people are trying to like, oh hey, like those Celtics. I'm like, they're a team.
Yeah, at the time that this next album comes out, 2005, this is really, to me, this was a really good golden years for Victory Records. There's still a record label now. I don't really know a whole lot of the bands that are on there now, but it seemed like in that mid 2000s, they were one of the better record
Oh,
labels out there.
yeah, then I mean amazing lines.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. All right, here we go. 2005's Wake the Dead from Victory Records and Smallman Records in Canada. Produced by Bill Stevenson, who did work with bands such as his own Descendants. He also did work with Black Flag and the band All. And he actually played drums in all three of those bands as well as produced their works. Also working as producer was Jason Livermore, who has also done work with the band All, Wretch Like Me, Rise Against, NoFX, Stick to Your Guns, Hope Division album, As I Lay Dying's Awakened album, and Woven War, which is actually the band that is a mixture of As I Lay Dying members minus Tim, the vocalist, because at that time he was in jail, and the lead guitarist for O Sleeper. Yeah, that was their kind of little side project, Woven War. And as always, the band Comeback Kid helped produce this album as well. Final album, Josh, for one Scott Wade on vocals. I'm going to ask you about the vocalist after we get done talking about this album. So hang on to that one. This album peaked at number 12 on the top Heat Seekers board and number 27 on the top Independent board. Dan Perone writes in his review of the album on punknews.org, quote, "There's also nothing like listening to an album for the first time and being ripped in half by an amazing album opener. False Idol's Fall is the quintessential hardcore anthem. It's got speed, power, gang vocals, and a powerful closing. And all you can do after the song is over is smile because it was just so absolutely perfect. I can't remember the last hardcore song that made me smile. From the opening to the insane gang vocals of Wake the Dead to the anthemic and soon-to-be crowd favorite Partners in Crime to the technicality of Bright Lights Keep Shining, you're left in awe at how good this band sounds. Scott Wade's vocals are top-notch and unbelievably charismatic, and the guitar work is spectacular, not for its technicality and hard-to-play parts, but just for making some of the best hardcore riffs I've ever heard. Every song is excellent, and as stated before, each has its own identity, something that is hard to come by in recent years with hardcore music." What do you think about 2005's Wake the Dead, Josh?
Yeah, I think the review has it mostly spot on.
Is there something you don't agree with?
I mean, not necessarily anything in particular, but I just don't want to
Okay.
say that's exactly how I feel.
No, you're good. That's fine. What
Um,
do you feel? How are you feeling, Josh?
I feel like this is a good album. Yeah, these first two are my favorite ones.
False Idols Fall and oh, you're talking about the album. See, here we go again. You're talking about the albums, right?
Yes, I'm
First
talking
two
about the
albums.
albums.
Okay. See, I was thinking you were talking about songs.
Yeah, and numbers wise, like none of these albums do very anything really of note.
See, and that was kind of a long. I didn't look at the numbers, but that was kind of a long. I should have asked it when I was asking earlier about do you consider them underrated or not? Because I wondered what the numbers would be like.
Yeah, I mean, especially based on this, I would say yes. There's
Okay.
a lot of people who have not heard this band.
Okay. Which is a shame. That's a darn shame.
Yeah. But it's also hard to get super accurate numbers. I mean, a lot of these albums came out before
True.
Spotify was a thing. So
This is true. This is true. Yeah.
I would like to see something that says how many albums like were sold to.
Yeah.
I did pull up just so we could see
Mhm.
who's on old Victory Records these days.
Yes. Let's hear it, man.
So we've got the 1970s or 1997.
Are they still a band?
Yes. A Day to Remember.
Wow.
Perfect Murder, A18, Abandoned by Bears, Across 5 Aprils, Action is still with them. Aiden is still with them.
Oh,
All Out
Lord.
War is still with them. Amber Pacific, Arise and Ruin, As They Burn, Atreyu.
Whoa. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Are you sure that this is an actual updated list, though, of like active?
Yes, and these are all current pictures of these bands. They're all very old.
Okay, and you're on the website, right? You're on their website.
I'm on Victory Records website. They also have a list of their alumni in a separate section.
Oh, okay. Well, the one that threw me off was As They Burn. I was like, I don't remember As Cities Burns having a.
No, As They Burn.
But even like, okay, like I see Bayside. I don't think I know Between the Buried and Me and Bayside are not on Victory Records anymore. And Blood for Blood is not. I don't even think they're a band anymore. See, that's the thing about it. I don't know. This makes me think that it's like, hey, this is all the bands that have ever been on our label because 1997 isn't even a band anymore. They've been dead since 2010. I don't know. That's weird.
I don't know. I mean, this is Victory's main
Well,
website.
well, here's the other thing too: is Comeback Kid's on this list, and they're not. They're with Nuclear Blast now.
Hmm.
Darkest Hour counterparts. Dr. Acula. Emir. I mean, they're not on Victory anymore, are they? I didn't think
I
they
don't
were.
think so.
Yeah, Hawthorne Heights. I mean, I don't know. I just kind of question. It's just weird
Yeah.
that
I don't
because, like I
know.
said, I remember a lot of these bands back in the day when we first started listening to Victory Records. I remember a lot of these bands like being on here like as alumni back then. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they do just have them all listed here. Just weird that they would go through and like update all the pictures and stuff. And then they also have a separate section for alumni that's
Right.
not just on their main bands page.
But like when I click, so like when I click alumni though, it's just a list. It's like a drop down menu. It's just a list, and it has like all the same bands. Victory Records, update your website.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's some of the bands you remember from back in the day then? Because I remember 1997 being on there. Aiden,
I mean, it would
Comeback
take too long to
Kid,
go through this list. It's
Strayu,
most of them.
Bayside.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's most of them.
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but this
Uh,
album is another just play all the way through for me.
it's a classic.
It's not really anything in here that's, stands out too much because everything on the album is just so
One way or
good.
another. Right. The songs that are on this album include False Idols Fall, My Other Side, Wake the Dead, The Trouble I Love, Talk is Cheap, Partners in Crime, Our Distance, which features Russ Rankin of Only Crime and Good Riddance. You also have Bright Lights Keep Shining, Falling Apart, Losing Patience, and the finale, Final Goodbye. I think most people. Do you think most people associate Comeback Kid with the song "Wake the Dead"? I think so.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's probably your opener to the band.
That's probably like their most iconic music video.
There you go. Yeah. Um, one thing that I really liked, and I saw it in the quote here on the review, where he talks about Scott Wade's vocals are top notch and unbelievably charismatic. That's the one thing that whether it's Scott Wade or even Andrew Neufeld when he takes over here in a little bit, that's the one thing that really attracts me to Comeback Kid is that raw vocal style. It's not really clean. It's not really like overproduced or anything. It's very raw. I mean, it's very hardcore sounding, but it's just very raw. Especially like I think
Music
of
doesn't
like
get you there.
no. The music does. I'm saying the vocals are one of the aspects why I really like Comeback Kid. That's
Okay.
me personally, like the vocal style that they do, that like I said, that very raw and almost like just like yelling at the top of your lungs, like you're destroying your voice. That's something that like really attracts me to a band. And that's why I really like this next album, Broadcast, because Andrew's vocals are just so raw on that at times. Um, I feel like there's parts that you can just like hear his voice just like almost just like you can almost like envision his vocal cords just like ripping to shreds on some of those screams. But even like Scott Wade's vocals at times too are pretty gnarly.
This is one of the few vocalist changes that I don't really mind.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
Like,
don't think that. I mean, I like both of them, and I was going to ask you. We can go ahead and talk about it now, I guess, if you want. Which I guess you basically just answered it by saying you don't mind. But is there, if you had to pick one, which one would you rather have as the lead vocalist, Scott Wade or Andrew Neufeld?
mm, probably Scott Wade.
Okay.
I mean, and it just because those are my two favorites, like
Right.
it was my two
Yeah.
favorite albums. So,
Right. No, I hear you, man. I hear you. I
but
think I would
I don't
probably,
mind the transition,
yeah,
and
I
it's
think I
smooth.
would,
It's a smooth transition.
oh, easily. Yeah. Which the good thing though is I think what makes it smooth is the fact that he's already in the band.
Right.
He's a guitarist, so he's still kind of writing, some of the guitar work. He's still involved in that, but he's easily, and like I said, I think he's already doing some backing stuff here and there on these first two albums. So he's just basically just kind of smoothly transitioning to that lead vocal role.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I would lean more towards Andrew. I love both of them, but I think I lean more towards Andrew's vocals.
Okay.
So, you got anything else for 2005's Wake the Dead from Victory Records?
No, and but I think these two are probably going to be where you should come in.
I was just about to ask you, is
Broadcasting's probably the most accessible.
okay.
But
I was just about to ask you what's the most accessible.
yeah, but if you're into hardcore, these are the two albums for you.
Cool. All right, so after touring had wrapped up to support the release of the album Wake the Dead, vocalist Scott Wade would publicly announce his decision to leave the band. Quote, "Life is full of hard decisions, but only a few of them are as big as this."
No shit, Scott.
Right. And absolutely life-changing. I was faced with one of these decisions, the kind of decision that keeps you up nights, tossing and turning, leaving your stomach in knots. This band has been in my life for the past 4 years, and I was a roadie for another band prior to that. I really don't know or have anything else in my life. Saying I'm not scared about my future would be a complete lie. I just got to a point where being on the road for 10 months had become hard, and pushing to be home more became a conflicting agenda. Some would like to see this band go as far as it possibly can, and I was an anchor holding this back. I just wanted to play something honest, make some friends, and see the world, and I got to do that. And I am forever grateful for my experience. And like I said, backup vocalist and guitarist Andrew Neufeld, who was the lead vocalist in the band Figure 4, assumed the role as lead vocalist in Comeback Kid after Scott's departure. Yeah, like you said, I mean, no doubt life is full of hard decisions, but at the same time, you respect what he's going through and what he's thinking. And I can't hear you.
I said 10 months of touring is no fucking joke.
Oh, no. I mean, when you're just living in, at that point, they're living in a van. I mean, a complete trash van, I'm sure, that's barely running. Barely making it to the next town, and, being cramped up, and that's got to be tough. And especially for a band like that, you're probably playing every single night as much as you can, So yeah, that's got to be definitely wear on you. So, all right. So here we go. First new album with Andrew Neufeld on vocal duty, 2007's Broadcasting from Victory Records and Small Men Records in Canada. Produced once again by Bill Stevenson, Jason Livermore, and the band members themselves. This album would actually be recorded as a 4-piece band with Neufeld still contributing guitar work. And here we go again. Last album for one Kevin Call on bass. So every album we have seen a lineup change so far. Reception was high even with Scott Wade's departure. The album was described as, quote, showing the band's strength without Wade. And this album would peak at number 3 on the top Heat Seekers board. Songs on this album include Defeated, Broadcasting, Hailing on Me, The Black Stone, Industry Standards, Giver, One Left Satisfied, Come Around, In Case of Fire, Market Demands, and the finale, Intuition. What you say, Josh? 2007's Broadcasting from Victory Records.
What say you? It's a good one. It doesn't fall in with the other two for me. It's a little bit different, but I really like the song Defeated, and I think it works well, and the fade out at the end is really good going into Broadcasting. But are you ever bothered by the fact that Broadcasting isn't the first track on the album?
No, I mean, because I feel like Defeated is a good starter.
It
I've never had
is.
like an uneasy feeling of like, I feel like that broadcast should be. Never had that feeling before. It's interesting you say that though.
I felt like that a lot. Like Defeated is a great opening track, but I could
I
also
could
see the
see it.
album easily starting with Broadcasting.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Has the fade in, it like hits pretty hard from the beginning. It's got some kind of a couple kind of catchy taglines,
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Never really thought about that before though.
but
Hmm. I really like the I think it's One Left Satisfied. The way the drums start on that. It just I don't know, it just kind of feels like it's oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Kind of I don't even remember what the word was I was gonna say now. It's kind of a play around, spontaneous. I don't know. I don't remember what the word was I was gonna say now. Just the way the drums kind of come in. You know what I'm saying?
it's just kick and snare. Da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da,
with the
da,
hi-hat
da.
too.
Oh yeah, with the hi-hat, yeah.
Yeah, it's closed. But yeah, just kind of a cool little intro there, I felt like.
Okay.
Um, and then like I said earlier, talking about the vocals, I just love Andrew's vocals on this album, dude. It's just so raw and just like so like in your face. Like I said, it's almost like I can picture his vocal cords just like tearing because he's like going so hard at some points.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, just for me, it's just like the other two albums is just like just turn it on, just go. There's not a bad song on here, man. And you can just easily go through it, without skipping a beat. So
Yeah, there's some bangers. You always get good results with a vocalist who heavily contributes to, if not writes most of the guitars.
yeah, yeah. And I think I don't know, they didn't really put a label on like, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, but I always kind of felt like Andrew was kind of like the lead guitarist. And like he probably wrote most of their stuff, at least guitar wise. I mean, who knows? Maybe it
Yeah,
was more of a you know, togetherness thing. I don't know.
collab.
What do you have number wise for broadcasting? I'm kind of curious with like the vocalist change and everything.
So first track is
What's what
558,000.
what was up with the smile?
I mean, they're low. The numbers are low.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Broadcasting is a
I guess
million.
let me step back. I'm saying I was looking for more like a comparison because of the vocalist change. I mean, I'm not saying like numbers are really going to tell us anything. I'm just kind of curious in that
Wake the
regard.
Dead did significantly more plays.
Well, for sure, yeah. Oh, so here we go again. I was thinking you were talking about the song.
Wake the Dead, the album.
Yeah. Okay. What about
Yeah,
the song "Wake the Dead"? What did
12
that do?
million plays on Wake the Dead and 1 million on broadcasting.
Oh, wow. Yeesh.
The songs.
Okay. Yeah, but still, though, I mean, wow. Hmm.
Yeah, Wake the Dead averages, it's like 2 million, 1 million, 12 million, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million, and then 700,000 through 600,000 on the end.
Okay.
Broadcasting starts at 500,000, goes up to a million for broadcasting the track, and then from 400,000 down to 100,000 through the end of the album. I mean, it looks like it
Interesting.
kind of trends that way. Symptoms and Cures has a couple multi-million plays. Die Knowing, same thing, a few that are a million. But about halfway through each of these albums, they trail off really hard.
Okay. Hmm.
Same with Outsider. It looks like after somewhere, somehow, people just like stopped listening to the album.
It's interesting.
So,
Well, you got anything else for 2007's broadcasting, Josh?
it's a banger. I mean, I think
It's a
that's
banger.
my
It's
that's going to
a
be the most accessible
banger.
album. I think it's going to be the most accessible
Okay.
album.
Interesting. All right.
There's something more melodic about some of these tracks, I think,
Yeah.
than the first two. The first two were very straight hardcore. So
Hardcore, yeah, I would agree. And that maybe, again, I haven't listened to Figure Four, so I don't know if maybe that kind of reflects on this album of like what their style was. With having Neufeld as like the lead vocalist in Figure Four. So yeah. All right, that's 2007's Broadcasting from Victory Records. After touring to support their new album, Broadcasting, and a stint on the Never Say Die tour in Europe with Parkway Drive, the band would take a short hiatus. My guess on that would be kind of like what Scott Way was talking about, to relax and reset from the road weariness. So yeah. At this time of the hiatus, bassist Kevin Call would leave the band and later be replaced by Matt Keel on bass. And then you have Casey, Jelmberg. I'm going to say Jelmberg. There's an H in front of the J, but I'm going to say Jelmberg on guitar. He actually played in other bands with the newest bassist, Matt Keel, and would join the band in the vacant guitar spot. Now, before we wrap up this episode, it was at this time, around this time here, kind of close to the end of 2007, that Josh and I were able to go see Comeback Kid in concert. The only thing personally, the only thing personally that I remember from that concert was just the song Wake the Dead and everybody just going crazy for it. That's all I really remember from their set. Do you really remember anything besides that? Oh, still can't hear you.
from Comeback Kids set,
Yeah.
not really. I think they played Broadcasting.
They would have. I mean, it would have been after Broadcast came out.
Yeah. I feel like
Because
they
Broadcasting
played.
came out in February of 2007. And this
Okay.
was September of 2007 when we saw them.
I feel like they were mostly playing off that album.
Maybe so. But they're like obligated to play Wake the Dead.
Right.
It's in our contract. Yeah.
We don't want to do it, but we're going to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, that concert was, let's see here. Cancer Bats, Comeback Kid, Silverstein. I feel like there's a band that we're leaving out though, maybe like an opener. That was probably like some really smaller band, but I don't remember.
It was Cancer Bats.
Well, I was thinking there was somebody before that though that maybe was like smaller, but maybe it was like before we got there or something.
Maybe. I didn't think there was anybody else. I thought it was just Cancer Bats,
Maybe
then Comeback
Cancer Bats
Kid,
was
then
the-
Silverstein, then Rise Against.
Oh, I was gonna say Cancer Bats, Comeback Kid, Silverstein, and then we went home.
And then we went home because
And then we went home.
nobody should sit through a Rise Against show.
Oh boy.
Don't do that to yourself.
Oh boy. Okay, shots fired. Because I don't know if he still does, but Eric likes Rise Against, so we'll just leave it at that.
They've just never been for me. They're one of those bands like Anti-Flag that like I just could never get into them.
Yeah, I like a few songs, but yeah, I'm just kind of the same. I'm just kind of like, man, but I don't know.
Don't hold me up now.
Oh man. Okay, so before we finish here, our current lineup is Andrew Neufeld on vocals, Jeremy Hebert on guitar, Casey Jelmberg on guitar, Matt Keel on bass, and Kyle Profeta on drums. All right, take a deep breath. Here we go. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. Not just on this show, Josh, but our other shows as well. We have the
There's
Red
other
Right
ones?
Hand podcast. Yes, the Red Right Hand podcast, which covers all 6 seasons of the BBC/Netflix hit show, The Peaky Blinders, with a few mini-sodes talking about some history stuff, kind of sporadically in between seasons there. We also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which has so far covered season 1 of the House of the Dragon. on HBO, soon to be season 2, which is currently in production. I think they're still looking at summer of 2024, so we still got a ways to go here. But no, never fear, because Josh has this covered. We actually have a brand new episode coming out here pretty quickly about the Dornish Wars and Aegon the First. We're ready for that one, right? We just got to record it. Okay, it's coming, people. It's coming out. So be on the lookout for that one.
Should come out the day after this episode.
Exactly. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. I know he would really appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
I guess. I don't know.
Do or
He's
don't.
like, yeah, sure.
Fuck.
No, I don't really care. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And if you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, or just mine, I don't know. You may not get his. If you want, you can just
mine will keep you up at night.
You can just put like a sticky note over his face on your computer or phone or whatever. Just head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions, and then I'll have every episode from all of our shows that we have just covered. Oh man, the one episode or the one show I keep forgetting to mention is the history. What?
The one that's most closely associated with this one. That's
exactly.
Keep forgetting.
I don't know why I keep forgetting that one. Is the History of the Course After Hours podcast, where I ditched Josh over here because
the Afterthought podcast.
The Afterthought. It's the stepchild of our podcast. It's where I sit down with my good friend and avid listener, Eric, and we talk about some of the bands that me and Josh have covered. And then you come back to this show, and then Josh talks about the things that me and Eric talk about.
I talk about what I don't agree
and then
with.
we go, it's just a deal where it's just like it's a circle, it just keeps going in a circle here. So yeah, that is the History of the Course.
Good times had by all.
Exactly. This is all in fun. No feelings or hurt. Just fun opinions all around.
Just my opinions about your opinions about my opinions.
Yes. So yeah, that's all our details about our YouTube page. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and thumbs up the video. I think that's it. I think we covered everything. You ready for part 2, Josh?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess my favorite albums are past. These are.
How much do you know about their?
For me.
Yeah, how much are you familiar with their next few albums? I'm not really familiar with them.
I've listened to Symptoms and Cures.
I've heard some songs here and there off of these next 4 or 5 or however many there are. But yeah, I've never really listened to like all.
Four.
There's 4. Yeah. So
yeah,
be interesting.
I don't know.
We'll
not
see.
A whole lot of experience with them.
We'll find out though. The most experienced part for us is over. Now into the unknown.
Into the unknown.
That's what we're calling the next episode. Episode 23, Comeback Kid Part 2, Into the Unknown. Until then, we will see you.